Well, hello there, football friends. It's been a while. I hope you enjoy this one. We got to chat to the well-travelled Tommy Stewart. Tommy Rains from Craigavon has played his football in America, in Dublin, in Derry, in Belfast, but to name a few. He also went toe-to-toe with the Juventus back four. So sit back, chill out, relax, and listen to Tots putting Tommy through a tough game of Keepie Uppies. Hope you enjoy it.
Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.
Tommy, and thanks again for joining us on the Keepie Uppies podcast. So we're just going to start off with a nice easy one. Who did you support when you were growing up, and who was your football hero?
For me, it probably would have been, obviously Manchester United were my team. I think Eric Cantona was probably the one I sort of gravitated towards, probably at that age, just because he'd made that move to Manchester United. And then it was up the collar up kind of thing. Everybody kind of wanted to be him. He was that kind of player that had a little bit about him, more so than just your typical kind of striker. So yeah, probably Eric Cantona, and then probably George Best, obviously from Northern Ireland, was obviously one that's hard to shy away from.
And would you have played with the old collar up then? Did you grab the number 7 then when the Portadown Boys starting 11 was being called out?
I think everybody did, even the goalkeeper as well. So it's just one of those things that I think he was just so big at the time and just so unique of a player.
Yeah.
And had that charisma as well. And everybody, even at school, I remember boys flicking their white collars up in school, and it was just such a big name. And I think he made such an impact on the Premier League at the time as well.
Yeah, and those type of characters you don't really see really now in the Premier League. When you look back in the 90s, you had the likes of Cantona, you had Keane, Matt Letizia, those kind of mavericks. Esprit, I remember when he came to Newcastle, I was thinking, oh, what a signing,
100%.
because he was, he used to be Italian football, used to be the league that everybody kind of was watching at the time, and then suddenly all these Serie A players were coming over. I remember even George Weah, I used to love watching him when he was at AC Milan. He came over to the Premier League probably when he was at the end of his career, but Cantona, he was some pup now, and that goal, everybody always talks about that chip against Sunderland in the celebration. People still try and celebrate like that now, 20 years on.
Oh, definitely. He's such a unique player, and as unique as they come. And definitely for me, he was one of the ones that kind of made, again, such a big impact in the game, not just for those wrong reasons, but he did so much good on the pitch as well that I think it was just that kind of like generation of like players getting on the ball, getting into those little spaces in between the lines, and having the audacity to try things like the chip over the keeper. And you saw that more and more often, and people being a little bit more bolder. But obviously on the other side of it, the work rate got higher, so like those kind of players have sort of maybe fallen out of the game a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it pains me actually to praise a Man United player because I'm a Liverpool man myself. But did you find yourself then? Would you have watched Cantona a lot? Would you have studied him when you were watching him? Because obviously you went on to have an excellent career. Would you have studied players and their movements? And you talked about sort of playing between the lines. Not a lot of people would know what you're talking about there, but would you have kind of focused on his movements and wee tricks that he would have done, and then try and replicate it with Portadown Boys and elsewhere?
Yeah, I think the more you understand of the game, no matter what game or subject you're learning, you kind of just want to like kind of know the ins and outs of it and why a player maybe tries those things, or like you can only get away with that in the position he's in. Really, if you did it in a different position, you'd be substituted or you would concede a goal. So I think you've got to understand when to do it on the football field first and foremost, why you're doing it. And then having obviously the audacity to pull something like that off. But certainly I would have tried different things. In terms of studying players, I tried to learn as much obviously, whenever a goal was scored, you would maybe rewind for 5 or 10 seconds of a game and see maybe where that goal came from and how it happened. Because I think you sometimes tend to forget maybe there was a run made, or there was a good pass through, or a little bit of movement was made prior to that. So I've tried to emulate those sort of um, skills, I suppose. Because obviously there's at that age you probably don't realise how little of the ball you actually get on the pitch. So it's more important whenever you're on the ball that you're good on it for the short space of time you do receive the ball. So I think it was that kind of from the Cantona to Dennis Bergkamp and players like that. That's more what I was attracted to, that kind of style of football. And certainly I would have watched those guys over and over again. But in terms of just studying players, attacking play would have been my kind of what I love to watch and how goals are scored, really.
Brilliant. So to take you back, I've kind of touched loosely on Portadown Boys. So kind of take us through your kind of youth career. Who would you have started with? Because that's how I remember you. I played for Oxford Sunnyside, and obviously an under 12. That was the big game of the season that we all look forward to when we're playing Portadown Boys, the local derby. Is that who you would have started off with, or was there a team maybe that you would have played with just before that, or?
It would have been Portadown. I was Portadown of the County Armagh with the Milk Cup squads, and then Hillsborough Juniors, Hillsborough Boys. So it's sort of between the three in the Lisburn League. So I was just, as a young lad, you're not really thinking about too much apart from just playing as much football as possible, and that's kind of my recollection of it. That's my memory of it. Is really, I was excited to go out and play 2 or 3 games a day. Back then, you could, your body can do it. So, whatever amount of football you could get, especially knowing that there was some way of progressing with it as well. But I absolutely loved the game, and as a young lad, would have gone and played 3 or 4 games in a day if I could have. I did that, and I really enjoyed my time at Portadown for the youth club. I really enjoyed my time at Hillsborough, and I believe those clubs kind of helped me in good stead.
And your Portadown team, it was an excellent wee team. I'm sure you can remember. I can remember I would have been playing right back for Oxford Sunnyside, so I'd have ended up marking Ollie Taggart, who was a brilliant wee winger and still playing today, I think, with Loughgall. And you had the likes of Stephen Woods and Scott Best and obviously yourself. Because you and Ollie Taggart, I always remember we were kind of focusing on trying to keep quiet, but you had some excellent midfielders, and I think you had a wee guy, Nuggy, would he have been left back and sometimes playing? Yeah, he was a very good player.
We had a cracking wee team.
Yeah.
We definitely did. We had a cracking wee team, but it was just, I think we actually had, now looking back and even saying that as well, we had players that actually enjoyed playing in the positions, because sometimes you don't really get that as a young kid. You get players that just want to play centre midfield or go and play up front and score a goal, and you don't really have the defensive side of it. So I think we actually had the nucleus of a good team there, and players that maybe understood the positions and actually excelled. I believe we had a good run with a couple of wee tournaments we played in, especially when we went to Scotland for the Air trips. And yeah, I just remember having good, camaraderie with those guys. It was a nice little thing to play for, and we had good coaches as well. And it was a good league. It was a good competitive league we were playing in as well.
Yeah, because I think you started off in the Mid-Ulster and then maybe moved on to the Lisburn League, and obviously there's quite a jump in the standard there. And I'm sure that obviously helped in your development as well. So then,
definitely.
from Portadown to Hillsborough, then did you move on to Portadown seniors themselves? Did you eventually work up into the first team? And of course, you got your move to Wolves. So did you eventually make that step up to Portadown, or what way did it work before that Wolves move?
I was about to. They wanted me to. They wanted me to sign for them, and I hadn't officially signed them. So, I was getting a lot of attention across the water just from playing at the boys' club. So, that's what I did. I just continued to go on trials, and no, I didn't go down the route of first team football over here. I went across the water and made my career that way. So, no, I was very happy with it, pleased, and yeah, it was great to get recognition from that early age.
And do you have any memories from that time at Wolves? Your couple of years there. Is there anything that kind of sticks out Because I'm sure it was almost like a dream come true, obviously, when you're successful with your trial and you got the contract. Um, is there anything in that particular time that kind of stuck out? And did you notice a huge step up, I suppose, in probably more fitness more than anything else, and maybe the tactical side of things when you went over there?
Yeah, it's a massive step up. So it was, to be honest. Fitness wise, you could totally keep up with a lot of people, but physically, you were definitely you know a lot less than some of the other ones, the senior players. But it was a great experience. I certainly remember being the top goal scorer in the youth teams, and then obviously we did well. We got the semi final of the Youth Cup. We just got knocked out in penalties to Southampton, who had Theo Walcott, etc., on the team at the time. So we had a good run. We had good, again, a good strong team. But ultimately, I didn't play first team football over there. I played pre-season with the first team, trained with the first team every day, and then played reserve. So, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't make that step there, but it was a brilliant learning curve for me, great experience, and I worked under some great managers and played with some great players. So, time I really, really enjoyed there, and I'm very thankful for it.
And the other thing, I suppose, as well, we've chatted to a couple of players that have played across the water. Sean Lavery, who went to Leeds, and Conor McAnallen, who was at Leicester. Obviously, it's a dream coming true when you get that move. But I suppose one thing, and there was Kieran Toner as well, who went over to Spurs. There was a kind of common theme as well. Yes, it was terrific getting the move, but it maybe wasn't maybe the bed of roses that maybe it was made out to be. It was a very challenging time for them, I suppose, on and off the field. Because I suppose when you get over there, you're trying to, yes, you're part of the youth team, but you're trying to maybe outshine other players within your team to try and grab the attention of the Wolves reserve team manager or first team manager. Did you find it also could be quite a brutal, um, I suppose, time and atmosphere there? Did you find it was quite cutthroat as well?
Oh, it's completely dog eat dog. It's a weird environment you get into. um, Straight away you realize it. Straight away it's separated from the boys club that I grew up in. It's completely different. You kind of feel a little bit on your own at times, a lot on your own at times, a lot of, a little bit of, I hate saying it, but there's a little bit of brown nosing from a lot of guys. And, yeah, it's just kind of, there's a wee bit of favoritism goes on. And it's just one of those things that it can be a little bit of a toxic environment as well, but ultimately you're there to play football, and you're there to like live out your passion and your dream. So you get on with it, whilst there's some negativity for sure, you just try and get on with it as best as you can, try and develop and grow as quickly as possible as well. And ultimately you're trying to make a career for yourself. So there's a lot of boys couldn't handle it, didn't handle it, and wouldn't be able to handle it. So I'm very pleased with the lessons it taught me and the interactions I've had with coaches, managers, players, and staff, just to have a real feel of how football works. And certainly, I know that's going to help me going forward. But I can understand truly how it'd be difficult for anybody going across there because I experienced it.
Yeah, and I suppose another thing a lot of the guys spoke about as well is that homesickness as well. And I suppose back then in the 90s to early 2000s, you would have been afraid to kind of speak about maybe your feelings and your homesickness. I suppose you wouldn't have wanted to say that to your parents because you wouldn't want to worry them and burden them. And equally, I suppose you don't want to go to your manager or your teammates because you might be thinking this is a sign of weakness as well. So I can imagine it can be very difficult because, goodness, I went to Jordanstown halls and I even find when I went to Jordanstown I was homesick. So goodness knows what it'd be like if I went to Wolves or whatever, But so it must have been difficult, but still, as you said, it kind of shapes you as well. Those kind of experiences, good and challenging.
Yeah.
And of course, then you came back to the Irish League, isn't that right? To Linfield, and you went on to play for a number of fantastic clubs: Linfield, Derry City, Shamrock Rovers. So you got a terrific result in Europe recently. Um, and when I was trying to find a wee kind of profile picture of you, I noticed there was one. I'm assuming you'd scored and you were celebrating with Glen Ferguson, who you'll know better than anybody else, one of the probably all-time great goal scorers in the Irish League. What was it like actually playing with Glen Ferguson? Because I was a big Glenavon fan when I was growing up, and started supporting him in the kind of mid-90s when he would have been the centre forward for Glenavon before he eventually moved to Linfield. And he was just fantastic. He was just like the Alan Shearer of the Irish League. His heading, his ability to hold up the play, and just obviously his finishing. But what was it actually like training with him, playing alongside him? That must have been a coaching lesson in itself.
Yeah, Spike Glenn he was great. Number one, he was a good person. Actually bumped into him the other day for the first time in a while, so it was lovely to catch up with him. But you'd heard about him obviously before you'd gone in, but like, he's just one of those players that just makes you feel welcome and respected straight away. And I was a young lad, he was one of the older lads. So he'd try and put his arm around you, sort of thing, in terms of just making sure you fit it in, you're part of the team. He understood the competition. Basically, I was a young striker trying to get the best out of him too. That was my job, to go in and try and score and make him do better as well. And he was obviously a great professional. His goal scoring record speaks for itself. Phenomenal player in the Irish League, truly like an Alan Shearer. And just deserves all the plaudits he get. But playing with him and training with him, it encouraged me so much as well. And while I was confident in my own ability, it was seeing him, especially on a Saturday. Anytime he got forward, he always looked like he was going to score, and like that was my biggest impression. It was then knowing when to make your runs in the box, because he wasn't the quickest. He was just intelligent. He knew where the ball was going to lie, anticipated where the ball was going to land, and just got himself into good areas to be a threat. And more times than not, he would have been getting shots on target, and one of those was going to go in. So great player to have in your team, because even if the team wasn't playing well, you knew you always had a chance of winning with him, and teams feared him and teams feared us. But a truly great pro, and I'm really happy I've got the chance to play with someone like that along the way as well. And it was a successful stint I had at Linfield, and again, one that I look back on fondly, because every team maybe that goes through some success, it always has to end at some point. And the years that I was there, it was very, very successful. And not long after he left, and a few others left, it kind of had a wee change in who was winning the leagues and cups.
And as I said, you went on to have a great spell at Linfield and the likes of Derry City, Shamrock Rovers. Is there any of the other clubs that, I'm sure obviously you thoroughly enjoyed your spell at all those clubs, but was there a club that kind of sticks out where you thought, yeah, I really felt at home there, I really enjoyed playing my football, or particularly like playing under that particular manager, where you felt it was the best environment in terms of, I suppose, the club, your teammates, your manager, which got the best out of you?
Yeah, I think Shamrock Rovers and Sacramento were the two ones that really stand out for me. Sacramento was so different, unique, and I loved my time there, and it was truly, truly special, and probably my favourite for a number of other reasons too. But in terms of just playing in Europe and succeeding for Shamrock Rovers and playing under two international managers, Michael O'Neill and Stephen Kennedy. Stephen Kennedy was just brilliant, and obviously, it doesn't get much better than that, playing under two international managers. And just great times there, great success there. I feel like I flourished there as an individual. I was really starting to get into my rhythm as a footballer, playing in different positions, scoring, winning, competing, doing well in Europe, and having good times, and really thriving as a player and off the field as well.
And you played against Juventus, isn't that right? Shamrock Rovers play against, did you play in that game? Was it Juventus in Europe?
Yeah, I played against them twice, so I've got both Chiellini and Bonucci's jerseys.
They're okay, aren't they?
They're just all right. Yeah, no, definitely. I would say probably the best, if not the best, in the top three centre back pairings of I would go of all time.
Okay, they're fantastic. Like even cheapers they were playing there in the Euros or the other year, and whatever average age they are between them, 55,
Yeah. Oh,
fantastic.
two
You know,
Italian giants, and
yeah.
we played them after they just come back after winning the World Cup at the time. So it was a unique kind of time as well, and it was such a. I think it was a little bit. I think the team were a wee bit starstruck by just what they'd witnessed because they'd just seen Italy triumph just before that. So, I think if they hadn't had the success going in, it would have been a bit braver. But again, we did okay overall, and it was a good experience for the team.
And it's just all about those memories, isn't it? You know, I suppose just that's what football's all about, isn't it? Just looking back, creating all those kind of special memories. You know, you might win every game, but like you can look back on a match against Juventus, two games against Juventus, and fair enough, you might not beat them, but what an experience coming up against those players and the experience, as you said, even playing under international managers, that must have been terrific.
Yeah, you want to play in those kind of games. You want to do it regularly. And a game of that magnitude against Juventus, they're a world class team. Everybody knows who they are. And again, it's just bringing the rub shoulders to those guys. Obviously, you want to play those kind of games more, but certainly great lesson and something that I can say I've done and I did well at. And yeah, it was such a pleasing period in football for me.
Yeah, and as well on the international scene, then of course Michael O'Neill went on to become Northern Ireland manager. Were you hoping, I suppose, that maybe with him knowing your style of play and the fact that you're a very good player, that maybe you could have crept into the senior setup, because you got a number of games with the under 21s I can remember, and you scored a couple of goals. And I always remember a game on TV on Eurosport. I think they were showing
Hmm.
was it Northern Ireland Germany, and you'd scored, and
It would have been, yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
I vaguely
Yeah,
remember
you
it,
could.
a pretty good strike, and I remember saying to my dad, "There's Thomas Stewart," and he's kind of looking at me going, "Who's that again?" I was trying to, I played against him, Portadown Boys, but yeah. So were you kind of hoping that maybe you could have maybe sneaked into the Northern Ireland team, or
Yeah, I spoke to him on numerous occasions,
yeah,
and I think I was well. Sorry, I know for sure because I spoke to him, and I was on the fringes of being called up. And again, it was just a matter of probably having. I was moved to Partick Thistle at the time, and I
mm,
feel if I had a better season there, I feel like things would have been gone, or if I'd have stayed at Shamrock Rovers, I probably would have got maybe something. But um, he was, whenever I decided to move to Sacramento, he was telling me not to go. And again, it was on his radar. So for a wee bit of a reason, that was the only downside, that didn't, because I ended up doing really well in Sacramento. And I feel like, I was doing just as well as the other strikers who were maybe getting called up. And certainly I felt my game had improved. And I think Sacramento and being out there and in America, it's a wee bit out of sight, out of mind, and people
mm,
don't really appreciate the standard of football, even though it's really, really good and tough. And again, it was we were playing the top competitions out there in America and doing well, so I felt that would have been nice to have been called up just to even get a chance. But at the same time, I partly understand it as well. But yeah, it was. I think honestly, looking back at the time at Partick when we finished fifth in the league, we weren't really challenging. We didn't really have an identity as a team with formation or style of football, so it was tricky. And at that time, yeah, I don't think Michael was going to call me up then. I think I needed to be winning something with Partick or doing something well with Partick to get the call up.
yeah. I suppose it's just all those kind of small margins, isn't it? Sometimes you just need that kind of rub of the green, but nonetheless, as I said, you've had a great time, and you went over to Sacramento. So, did you just fancy just a new challenge? Did you just want just another taste? I suppose different culture elsewhere, or what took you to Sacramento?
Yeah, pretty much a new challenge.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to embrace a new culture as well and see what it was like because I felt like I'd done everything. I'd won everything in Northern Ireland. In Ireland, I was just like, right, okay, time to try something new. I had a couple of teams talking to me about going to Europe, and it just felt like, it was just going to be such a change. such a drastic change that it would be something that could really get my head around and really try and make an impact in America, and I really did, which was the best thing, and that was such a key thing. We ended up winning the league in the inaugural season. I finished as top goal scorer. Obviously, I scored the team's first ever hat trick. I scored the fastest hat trick. I scored the first hat trick in the US Men's Open Cup. So things like that there that nobody will be able to take away from me. I've made a wee bit of history. So certainly very, very pleased with those things. But at the same time, it's, again, it's all about the team. So for me, that was the personal individual maybe credit that I can take from that, in terms of like that made my decision so much better and so much worth it. So for that reason, that's why I talk about it the way I talk about it, like that. But certainly the team always comes first, and really pleased with how we all did.
And it must have been quite a change in culture, was it? Heading over to Sacramento.
Completely new, completely different, and one that I really thrived in. But again, it was you had to be really disciplined because of the weather. Obviously, it was roasting hot, and certainly the pitches, you're always training at different times just to try and get the best of the weather. And then you're always on the go in the airport. You're always flying to different cities and states. And one week you could be playing in hot weather, and next week you'd be playing at altitude, and then maybe going somewhere a wee bit windy and wet. And every game had a different element to it. So you really, really had to be super disciplined, super focused. And I really thrived in those environments. And I think that's why those achievements hold a little bit more weight, because I don't think people realize the time you put in, even going to the airport. You're going a day and a half ahead of the game, and you're coming back straight after the game to prepare for the next one. So it really is a ruthless regime, and one that makes it so much sweeter for me, knowing that we ended up winning the league in the first season.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And just out of interest, then, what you were the fastest? You scored the fastest hat trick in what time? Can you remember?
I think it was. I believe it was 27 minutes. And it has since been broken, but I set the record, which
well,
was great.
that's the most
I hold
important.
the record for the US Open Cup, first player from Northern Ireland to score a hat trick in the US Open Cup. So I'm very happy with that.
Yeah, unbelievable. But not as quick as Robbie Fowler's hat trick, 4 minutes 33 seconds.
Unfortunately not. Yeah.
Had to get that wee dig in there. See, as soon as you told me you're a Man United fan, I just had to find some way of, not that it's particularly hard at the minute to give you a bit of stick, but
I was going to say, the less we talk about Man United, the better, please.
I know it'll turn in like a therapy session. No,
Exactly.
it's fantastic. So it must have been, I suppose, tough for you, or was it, to kind of make that decision to kind of retire? Because you had some unbelievable memories there between your time with Linfield, your youth football as well, of course, starting off Shamrock Rovers, playing Juventus, Bonucci getting Thomas Stewart's shirt, going over to America. So fantastic memories. Was it tough making that decision, or did you just think no, that the time was right? Was it an easy decision maybe in the end, or?
It was easier than I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, I'm still like missing playing. I'm still like, I'm not questioning that I made the right decision. I made the right decision, but at the same time, you always miss something. You put my heart and soul into it. Literally was my life day to day, on day to day basis. I was so disciplined in the game, in the sport I love, and I tried to do everything to the best of my ability, and then try and make sure when I look back, it's something to look back on, and I kind of feel like I've always been one of those guys that really kind of tried since probably 25, 26, really look to the other side of it, because you don't know when the time's up. Everybody sort of says that to you. Make sure you're sort of focused into what's going on. So for that reason, I started doing my coaching badges, and then I was always helping out with coaching. I was always like trying to be involved with however I could, and it set me up for what's going on now, and I'm really appreciative of all the clubs that have helped me along the way and given me opportunities to coach as well, and made it easier, definitely. And I'm really enjoying it at the minute.
And you're 100% right. It is such a short career, isn't it? Because to me, it only seems like yesterday when I was trying to keep up with Ollie Taggart, and now I'm playing over 35s for Oxford Sunnyside. Um,
It
but
goes so quick.
oh yeah,
It goes
too
so
quick.
quick. But yeah, that's why I'm really thankful for the opportunities and the places I've been to, the clubs I've played for, and the countries and cities I've visited. So hopefully I can do something similar with my coaching career as well.
And I suppose it's great as well, playing for all those, Shamrock Rovers, Linfield, Derry City, going over to America. You can take bits and bobs from the various coaches that you've worked under, the players that you've played alongside, the different cultures as well, which kind of will shape you as a coach, as Thomas Stewart, the coach. So,
Hmm.
are you coaching then at the minute? Are you kind of involved with? Uh, is it Cliftonville that you're kind of, or would
No,
you?
I've been coaching for a number of years now and getting great experience. Um, right now, my coaching career sees me I'm the head coach of Queen's
As a
University
Queens?
women's team, and then the head coach of the men's under 20s there. So I take the two teams up there and really, really trying to develop the players, because that's the most important thing, and really make an impact on the game, because I believe, obviously, as a still a fit athlete, I'm able to really get involved and get stuck in, and really pass on my knowledge, as well as actually showcase some of the things that want to be done. Queen's University head coaches there, and then Cliftonville, I'm one of the assistant coaches, and then I'm the under 19s Northern Ireland women's assistant coach as well, to Aaron Hughes. So there are a lot of things going on, and then working with Rangers Academy very soon as well, starting up. So
Jeepers.
just very, very pleased with.
Is there two Thomas Stewarts?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with what I have been doing, but I'm very
Brilliant.
much pleased with the fact that people are seeking me out. People are looking to hire me. People are, looking at my kind of maybe expertise on coaching as well, and I'm able to help out as much as I can, and I'll do that as much as I can as well, and I'm really enjoying that. And yeah, let's see where I land with it all. But at the minute, really, really thriving and enjoying it. And let's see where it takes me.
Fantastic. Great and to kind of touch as well, just to go back on you making obviously that decision to retire. Do you feel there is that kind of support for players? Because you hear it a lot of players retiring, whether it's in the Irish League or across the water. When they finally make that decision, they have that gap, because it's a huge buzz. I suppose I wouldn't have a clue, but you'll know more than anybody else going out onto the field, especially if you're a striker scoring the goals. The buzz that you get from that, who's nothing compares to that. Do you feel there's enough support for footballers when they do retire? Because there mightn't be footballers out there that might be as forward thinking as you were, to think at 25, 26, I need to get my coaching badges.
Mm, no, I don't believe there is enough support for them. No, definitely not. The fact that even over here in our country, we've only set up a kind of like a PFA for players as well. So
Yeah,
that's been lacking. So hopefully that's something that really kicks off. And that's, again, the reason I really get stuck into coaching, is because I know what that's like. I know how hard it can be for players, and I know how much I can actually help players. So that's why I do it, especially for the development. And I think that's key. And anyone that doesn't think that those years are crucial to a player, or young footballer or person, it's critical they have the that kind of care, especially in the professional game, because it teaches you so much, especially off the field. Sports teaches so much about life, and that's why I feel I'm in the best position to offer that help and advice. And unfortunately, there isn't enough support, but I'm just very happy that I had my head screwed on in terms of like knowing I wanted to coach, and did coaching, and try to get involved in whatever capacity I could do, because I knew football wasn't always going to last forever. So for me, it's so key that people have other passions and other thoughts on what might happen after football ends.
yeah, and you're even we were chatting before previous podcasts about there's probably a slight change as well. When Irish League players are going across the water, It's a wee bit later now. They're maybe sort of 19, 20 when they're actually making the move across, as opposed to maybe 15, 16. And I suppose that makes a
Yeah,
difference as well, because you're a lot wiser, and maybe you can handle things like homesickness a lot better. And I suppose as well it allows you maybe to, to get your A levels, for example, or to kind of work on your education, so you do have something to fall back on. Do you think that's a plus point? Do you think it's a better pathway as opposed to, back in the, 20, 30 years ago, where you were heading over at 14, 15 for trials, and then, making the move across the water?
it's definitely an interesting topic. I think, yeah, there's a real key element to that as well, in terms of like just being ready to go and ready to play, and making late moves. But ultimately as well, then there's maybe less and less people get that opportunity to even get across and taste it. But at the same time, whenever you go when you're younger, you're not maybe ready for that first team football. So I get that. But then again, people are like, well, if over there, for example, if you're in England, you've all the kids that are coming through the academies from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they're part of the furniture from a young age, and they're getting that quality coaching as well. So that's something to think about as well. So it's just very much a very personal thing, but at the same time, the players that have gone over late seem to really excel.
Yeah. Stuart Dallas is one. I can remember when he headed over, and he was quite late. I think he might have been 19, 20,
Yeah,
and of course he's
yeah.
had a terrific career at Leeds. He seems to have
Oh,
just got better as he's got older.
exactly, and I think that's the key, because he's gone and he's done well at one of the Brentford, and then just built
Yeah.
himself up and made moves at the right time. And obviously that's it's critical that you do that as well. And but again, you've got a manager that believes in you, and I think that's what happened with him as well.
Yeah.
He had managed to take him at the right time, and obviously trusted him as a player, and yeah, he's not looked back.
So, Tommy, we're going to get straight in then to the Keepie Uppie questions. These are Richie's,
Yes.
so I'm going to apologise. They're absolutely head rackers, as I'm sure you've probably found out. Probably even more head racking for you when you consider all the players that you've played with. But we're going to get stuck into them anyway. So,
Let's do it.
who was the best team that you ever played for?
Gonna say Sacramento Republic.
Okay. What about your best captain and best goal scorer?
Gary Twigg, and best captain would have been Paul Ince at Wolves.
Not bad. Okay. Player with the best touch, and who was also the best goalkeeper?
Wayne Hennessy at Wolves, who obviously had a stellar career.
Mm-hmm.
Best touch, Darren Anderton at Wolves as well.
Darren
Ridiculous.
Anderton. What a player. Just always remember him, and obviously more so at Spurs. I know he's injured a lot for people, but still
Yeah, he
some
was.
player at the time. I remember Euro 96 with England. He had a good couple of years with England, obviously, and Spurs.
Phenomenal.
What about defender and midfielder?
Played with or against?
Can be either.
Played against Chiellini and Steven Gerrard.
And what about played with? If you go with teammates.
Okay, then probably at Wolves, I would probably say Paul Ince. And best defender, ooh, that's a tough one. Ooh, that's a tricky one. Defender.
Right, we'll
Probably
go
Johnny Evans.
Johnny Evans. What?
Johnny Evans, yeah. Johnny Evans at Northern.
Yeah. And Leicester City's new captain as well. Got the captain's arm on there, yeah, which is great.
Yeah,
No surprise. What about best striker? You're not allowed to say yourself.
Hey, Kenny Miller.
Kenny Miller. What about left and right foot? So best player, best teammate with the best left foot and right foot.
Hey, Mark Kennedy. The Wolves again.
Ex-Liverpool.
Liverpool, Man City. Brilliant. Did you say right footed?
Yeah.
Probably Rodrigo Lopez at Sacramento. Had a great output.
Super. What about then your best manager?
Um, there's a couple there, so I would give it to Stephen Kennedy. Stephen Kenny. He's definitely got that real personal care as well. Um, just a good man manager. Really cares for his players. Gets the best out of his players, and I'm so happy that he's thriving on for the Irish national team as well. But again, I've been very lucky to have played for some good managers. If we go through a couple, Glenn Hoddle, Dave Jones, um, Michael O'Neill, Stephen Kenny, Frecky, um, yeah, just and Kenny Shields as well. So loads of international experience in that, but certainly I would go for Stephen Kenny as my number one.
Okay. What about player that loves a hard challenge and also the quickest player?
Patrick Flynn. We used to get sent off nearly every other week at Shamrock. No, I'm joking. No, he's always worth a foul. So, yeah, he was a quality player, but yeah, he was so very tenacious in defending, and you were scared of him getting a yellow card.
Tenacious. Is that a nice way of saying the red mist? Bit like Wayne Rooney.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And then quickest player.
Quickest, probably Niall McGinn. Whenever I was playing with him, he was very quick, but he'll not like me saying he's lost all his pace now.
What about then? Just a couple to go then. Best all-round player.
Paddy McCourt.
Paddy McCourt, yeah. What a player he was, and of course he had a good wee spell with Celtic. He was just
brilliant.
some of the stuff he done with the ball.
Fantastic.
And what about the last two then? Player that got better with the age, and the player who always gave 100%.
Player got better with age. Cool. Well, again, probably one of the goalkeepers, probably Alan Manis, because he's still playing. He's about 40, and again, it's just a goalkeeper thing. They always get better with the age. So
is he still playing now? Is he? Funny, I was thinking about him.
Yeah.
Well, who's he playing with now?
Shamrock Rovers.
Is he still at Shamrock Rovers? Is he?
He's still there. So he's again great professional, great lad, and again, yeah, a goalkeeper always seems to get better and better. So I'll probably give it to him. And I would put myself at giving 100% every single time, so I can't not say my own name for the last one.
Yeah,
if I didn't say my name, there'd be something wrong.
Brilliant. Oh, that's great, Alan. Funny, I because we had a podcast there. It was a month or two ago, with Johnny Tuffy. I just happened to be clicking into some link about the best goalkeepers of all time in the Irish League, and obviously Alan Manis was there. But I remember just thinking, I wonder is he still playing? Because that's fantastic. And of course, he had a great spell over in Scotland as well, obviously with Linfield.
Yeah, totally.
So we're just going to end then, Tommy, with the Wheel of Berber, which is just named after an ex-teammate of ours, who was nicknamed Berber. I don't even know if that was a good nickname. I don't even think he liked it, because it usually meant that you had the flicks and whatever, but you didn't track back. And that's probably exactly why he got that name.
That's true.
So it's simply, we're going to spin this imaginary wheel. It's going to land on a hot topic. You give us your opinion on it. So I'm just going to spin the wheel here, and it's stopped at your overall thoughts on the recent Women's Euros tournament. And I suppose another wee question is, so your thoughts on the Euro, and how important is it that the IFA and NIFL piggyback on the legacy created by the Northern Ireland ladies?
Oh, it's such an incredible achievement to get to the tournament, number one, but number two, I think they competed as best as they could, given the fact that they were underdogs at the tournament, and the overall picture has to be, it's such a momentous occasion, and that's the overriding feeling is it didn't really matter what the performances were like in terms of results. It was just more, what it's going to do now, what the knock-on effect's going to be. It's a big portal that's just been opened now for for women's football, and that's critical. That's key. That's so imperative that that's happened. But really now it's about backing that up now with the funding, with investment, with coaches to coach obviously in these teams over here and create more opportunities. And it's something that I'm happy that being able to help out with as well. But I think it's just really at a point where you have to say the time is now.
Exactly, and I suppose you can see firsthand the potential that is there, and some of the clubs have recently come out since the Euros. The interest and in terms of spectators attending games has increased massively, and I suppose even young girls and ladies looking to join the teams as well. Which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's definitely opened up a portal for players to come through, especially at youth team level, and knowing that they've got opportunities and a chance for people to sponsor you, for example. It's such a good thing, and they've actually, not just that, but they have role models in the game as well, people they can aspire to.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. They did really well. No, they didn't pick up any points, but they achieved much more than that, didn't they? And this is something that girls and ladies in Northern Ireland are going to be talking about for decades. What they've done. They really did the country proud. So, Tommy, that's it. Thanks a million for joining us for this podcast, giving us 45 minutes, a whole first half of your time. Really appreciate it. Some fantastic memories. And yes, thanks a million for taking the time out to join us on the Keepie Uppies podcast.
Not a problem. No, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. And you look after yourself. And all the best.
Will do. Take care. Thank you so much.
See you night. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.